Welcome to Local Hogwash. I know, I scared myself.
Yep, that was a very aggressive greeting.
No.
So today we have a special guest with us. How about you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Matt Young, and I'm the site manager at the CSS News Civil War Interpretive Center in downtown Kinston, North Carolina. I've been in Kinston for 7.5 years, and as you can see, I'm also an avid baseball fan.
So tell us all about you.
My dad is a veterinarian, retired.
Okay.
My mother is a registered nurse. She worked NICU with preemie babies for like 40 years. My dad met my mom when he was in the Navy. They got married. They moved to Georgia, which is where my dad is from. My mom was from Michigan. And my dad went to UGA for grad school, for veterinary school, and I was born in Georgia.
Okay.
After graduation, he moved to California, which is where his mom was and where he had actually grown up. Mm-hmm. And that's where I grew up.
Okay.
I moved back to Georgia at 12 after my parents divorced. And I was in Georgia from the time I was 12 until the time I was 35.
How in the world did you wind up in Kinston, North Carolina?
Of all places.
Because my chosen profession, which is museums. Mm-hmm. My first museum job was in Columbus at the Civil War Naval Museum.
Okay.
My second job was at Fort Benning, which is the big, large Army base there, as Director of Education for the Infantry Museum.
Okay.
At that time, I was going through my divorce, and my career was kind of important. And, you know, in the museum field, it's one of those, if you don't move up, you can't move up without moving around. So you have to, like, go places in order to advance your career.
Never did that.
So I kind of applied for a bunch of positions around the Southeast because I wanted to stay fairly close to home. I got hired in Greensboro, North Carolina, as their assistant director, their historical museum.
Okay.
But after a year and a half, budget cuts hit, recession hit, and they said, well, yours was the most recently created position, so yours is the first on the chopping block.
HR calls that last hire, first hire.
Yeah. So I experienced that firsthand. I had 6 months of unemployment looking for jobs. And I really thought I was going to have to move back home with my hat in my hand. And, I tried, but I couldn't make it. And this position popped up in Kinston for the director of basically a Civil War Naval Museum.
Right.
I applied, I interviewed, and they hired me.
Fantastic.
So I started here in January of 2013.
Fun fact, very first field trip I ever went on as a child was to visit the boat.
When it was out on Vernon.
But when it was where the Woodman is now. Well,
It was next to the Woodman.
Yes.
Was it up by the road or was it down by the river?
Down by the river. What? No.
Because they moved it from down by the river to up by the road after one of your Hurricane Fs. I think it was the first one.
Fran.
It was
Fran. Yeah, it was Fran. They moved it, and the year after they moved it, Floyd hit and destroyed the museum.
Well, I can tell you it was 1991.
Yes, it would have been down by the river. Down by the river. So Richard Caswell's the first governor. He's founder of Kinston.
Yeah.
His first wife was a McElween. His second wife was a Heritage. 2 R's. Sound familiar?
Heritage Street.
And
McElween.
McElween Street, which are on each side of Queen.
I say it completely different than you do.
I was thinking that when he said that, I was like, that's how you say it.
I was like, that's McElwain.
That's what I
McElween,
say,
McElwain.
too. But
Either
you know
way.
what? It's like Blount Street.
Yep.
My first year and a half
You called it
here,
Blount?
I called it Blount. Because, y'all, that's how it's spelled.
Also, from street names, you can tell the original outline of the city, the original plot of the city.
Kristy, you don't roll a Blount.
North Street was the northern
I don't
boundary.
roll a blunt either.
Not on TV, anyway.
No, I have someone else do it for me.
That's much easier.
Way off subject. Okay, go ahead.
So
Back to
north,
original pattern
you have
of
north,
the
you have
tale.
North Street, which was the northern boundary of the original town plot. You have South Street against, and then you have East Street, and of course West is the river.
Yes.
So that defined your original plot of the city of Kinston or the town of Kinston.
When I did one of the stories at East West, the stone company that reopened it's over there by the Lenore Community College. They just reopened.
Adams?
No, I think it's called East West. I really do think that's what it's called. Oh, I could be wrong though.
I think it was Adams before.
Possibly. It was like a cement factory. Now they're reopening up to stone masonry and blah, blah, blah. They had a really cool old map of Kinston from like the late 1800s.
Oh, yeah.
And first of all, it made me laugh because grid-wise, we ain't that different where we are today. But it was neat, the setup. So it's cool to know that that's where those names come from.
Like that.
So one thing I do want to point out, though, when I was coming here this afternoon, and one thing that really gets me is the excessive speeding in Kinston.
It's weird. Like, the Kinston speed limit is 25 miles an hour, like, in all city
like
limits,
in downtown. Right? No, it's like, I was talking about, like, on Cary. It's 35. So sometimes I go, like, 40-ish. But I had a car go by me, and it was like a blur. They were going 65 on Cary.
It wasn't me.
And it wasn't you.
It definitely wasn't me because I don't go more than 4 miles an hour over the speed
limit.
It
was a white Honda with tinted windows. And I'm thinking to myself, kids play in these yards.
That's true. That's very true.
If a kid steps out, there's no way you're going to be able to avoid it, and you're going to kill somebody.
Yeah. Even on side roads, like in downtown, I live in Mitchelltown. Is that what it's called where I live?
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that.
It's a pretty teal house.
I like how you answered.
White picket fence, dog in the yard.
I mean, literally, that is what it is.
Yeah.
It is a teal house with a white picket fence, and if the dog's in the yard, you now have a headache because he's barking his head off at you.
Lives the American dream.
I do. I live the American dream.
What kind of dog?
He's a plot hound.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And
Boo-roo.
yes. Oh, yes. He discovered his voice box. And so he discovered it a lot. But anyway, I didn't actually want to talk about my house. I was going to say, even where I live, which is just a few short blocks, and it's all residential, there is a stop sign on every corner. People will still manage to, like, speed from stop sign to stop sign. Like, 0 to 60 in 12 seconds isn't a challenge, guys. It's really not.
It's like a drag strip.
Yes. And, like, but you have to stop. So it makes no sense to me. People don't make any sense to me.
Their brakes are terrible.
I have to start and preface this by saying that the budget meeting for the city of Kinston actually happened on, I believe, June 1st, if I'm not mistaken. So all of the information that we're about to discuss has been readily available on the website. Ads were taken out in newspapers and I believe News as well for public notices, information about the budget coming out.
Well, if they put that ad in the Free Press, nobody saw it.
I do think we got it too. Like, I do think it went out in News as well.
Well, then everybody saw it.
So, but what I'm saying is, so the...
I hate the Free Press.
She called it fish wrap.
That's what it is.
So the outrage. So where I'm going with this.
Unfortunately, it's not a local paper anymore.
It's not.
Or free.
So where I'm going with this is
very deceiving.
I did not expect to wake up this morning to the insanity that was all over social media. I know budgets are big deals. I do know that. But I thought, taxes getting raised, or it happens all the time.
Yeah, it just happened last year. As a matter of fact, I know because my mortgage went up.
And the county commissioner wanted to tell me to reiterate that the county taxes were not going up.
Yes.
But so
more withdrawal for people to move out of Kinston and to the county.
So what I'm saying is, I was not expecting the reaction that it got. I figured I was just going to write the article. People were going to read it. Maybe there'd be a few comments. But again, I have no real way of knowing what people are going to react to or people are going to respond with. So when I got here this morning, I started reading all those comments. I started last night because Michelle said she commented on it. So she texted me. I was at the movies. I went and saw Cruella. And so I'm sitting in the parking lot. We just finished watching the movie, and I'm trying to scroll through and read these comments. And I'm like, whoa, people are mad.
Big mad.
Like, big mad. And I'm like, but it's
Were they typing in all caps?
The comments were ridiculous.
Oh, okay.
They were ridiculous. Now, there were some that I vehemently disagree with. If you're going to attack somebody for their appearance, or you're going to attack somebody for how they dress, shame on you.
She's talking about me. And here's why. Because there was an $1,800 line item in there for dry cleaning. And I said, I did not realize that it cost so much to dry clean bow ties.
I wasn't actually talking about Michelle there. I was talking about the
I
people
told
who...
on myself.
I was talking about the people who were referring to the skin color.
You should let her go, and then if you're not guilty by association, but it's okay.
I really wasn't. Like,
Lesson
I know
learned.
what I should have done.
Lesson
I should
learned.
have called and asked how much it cost to dry clean a bow tie. Because I know some people in the dry cleaning industry.
Presley Cleaners.
That's the one. So there was a lot of
That's why I
outrage.
take my dry cleaning.
To be fair and to be clear, that $1,800 clothing allowance was removed at Mayor Hardy's request. Is
But
what
it
he
never
told
should
me.
have been added or asked for.
Well, no. Let's
Was it
kinda
in?
talk
Was it
about
in
that.
previous budgets?
No.
Okay.
But let's talk about that for a second. If you're doing a job that requires you to dress to the nines in any capacity, if you have to wear a suit and a tie to work, I'm not talking about a casual wear business suit. I'm talking more formal attire for formal events, such as what a mayor would have to do.
So like someone in sales that has to wear a coat and tie every day.
Okay, right.
Okay.
People in sales generally do get a clothing allowance, if we're being honest. We did it at the call center world. So I'm just saying that it wasn't outrageous to me when I wrote the article.
To me, it's outrageous that a public servant should be asking for something like that. Again, just my personal opinion. I'm glad it's no longer in the budget.
Right, I am too. And I knew I was going to struggle with it because part of me just wants to say, are you bleeping kidding me?
Just say it.
A 40% bleeping raise after a 15-month pandemic? Are you crazy?
Keep going.
That is what I wanted to say. Because it makes no sense to me.
Don't you feel better?
People have been out of work. Stores today, Lovex, Pizza Villa. What was the other one? It just announced it. Sugar Hill. Huh? Yes, Sugar Hill
They're
is going to
closing on
start
Mondays.
closing on Mondays because
know.
we don't have enough people to work in them. And I don't care what the reasons are. You can blame unemployment. You can blame immigration. You can blame whatever you want to blame. The reality of it is
China.
this is where our
Russians.
city is. We are in a point where we do not have enough staff to cover the businesses that we have open. And you want to give yourself a 40% raise. I don't care if you made $1 before this. Giving yourself a $40 raise or whatever that 40
That's
cent
what we
raise.
think about that.
My opinion on this is that in order to, and I said this last year because this came up in the budget last year as well. I made a public comment and I still stand behind my public comment, which was show me where your actions have statistically improved something in the city.
Agreed.
Has crime gone down? Has transportation money increased? Have potholes and dangerous intersections been filled? What has the city council and the mayor done statistically to improve our city? And I say our city because I live here.
Me too.
I vote here.
Now, I will
You
say,
own property here.
I own property here, and apparently my taxes are going up
By 4 cents
again.
for every $100.
from what I saw during this year, during the 2020-2021 year, the city council was very active in the pandemic efforts. They were very active in getting vaccines readily available, but testing. They were excellent with testing.
Vaccines that didn't become available until January, February this year, right?
Right.
Okay.
Going back before then, they were very active with the testing and the food drives and the medicine drive. So
Excellent.
as far as quantifying that success, you really can't because it's a pandemic. But I will say my personal opinion is that they were very active in keeping the community healthy. Yeah. As healthy as you can during this time period.
I'll tell you who I think should get a raise. It's the health department.
Oh, absolutely.
That bent over backwards, was all over social media.
Pam
was
Brown
all over
is amazing.
Pam Brown is awesome.
She is.
She deserves the pay raise.
Agreed.
Every time I saw her in public, she had a mask on.
And she also took the time to explain, like when I saw her one time, she had on 2 masks, and I was confused, like, do we need to do that now? Because I'll literally die, I think. But like, she always took the time to explain everything that she was doing and why. And if I had questions, even after the interview was over, she took the time to answer them.
In a very nice, calm,
Yeah, because she's so
tone of
sweet.
voice. But funny, though, everything that you listed that has not been done are things that the mayor said 6 months after he was elected that he would do his best to work on. Mm-hmm. He saw all those things improving over the next 3.5 years.
Well,
that was a news article by Brian Hanks.
Michelle, when can you file?
You can file July 2nd through July 16th.
And what positions can they file for?
City council, because it's a non-district seat. It's all at large.
Mm-hmm. And what does that mean exactly?
That means that you're not confined to one tiny little spot.
Not one neighborhood, not 3 neighborhoods.
Not one precinct, not 2 precincts, not 3 precincts.
All of them.
All of them. Anybody who lives in the city limits can run. And guess what else? You can run for mayor too. And lucky for these people, I don't live in the city limits.
Throughout the history of my life, I've had 3 fires that resulted in pretty catastrophic loss of my stuff. So, I have an unnatural...
I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at the way you said it. It's not my belongings, but my stuff.
So, I have a completely unhealthy infatuation with firemen. I love them. Like, firemen would probably be like women say they love a man in uniform. Mine's all firemen all day.
You know what Kinston really needs? An escape room.
I have said that too. I love escape rooms.
Oh, we have.
Yeah.
No,
the city doesn't count. This is my Yorkie who died 2 months ago.
Oh,
He
I remember when
passed.
he passed.
He passed away in early April. I'd had him for 10.5 years.
What was his name?
His name was Troop, and he was a 22-pound Yorkie. So he was, but he wasn't fat. He wasn't overweight. He was just a big boy.
He was just grown.
And Troop was with me. We got him when I was married. He was with me through the divorce. He's been with me through every move. And so he had lymphoma got him, cancer.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So that's.
But you recently got another dog, didn't you?
Yeah, about 6 months before Troop passed away, another dog came into my life.
You found him, right? I'm trying to remember how I
found
read
us.
it. Okay.
We were driving back actually from a Halloween event in, I want to say it was Sampson County or Duplin County. And when we were coming back, it was like after 12 at night. We went through Mount Olive, and I didn't take the way back that we had come. I took kind of the route to Goldsboro. And we're going down a little bit of an incline, and I see this thing kind of wander across the road, and I slow down, and my girlfriend looks up from her cell phone, and she goes, "Stop the car, that's a dog." I was like, "That's not a dog." She goes, "That is a dog. Pull this car over." I said, it's like an armadillo or something.
I would have been like, "It's a zombie dog. We're going to keep going."
Not knowing that armadillos aren't really in North Carolina.
They're not.
Used to drive in Georgia and Alabama where they're all over the place. Anyway, so I did as she asked. I stopped the car. I turned around, and we pulled up a little more. She got out, and she saw this little white head in the grass, and the eyes were just kind of staring at her. And so she's like, "Hey, little thing, hey, little." As she got closer, he jumped into her arms.
Oh.
And
he found his forever
he
people.
smelled bad. He had a red rope tied around his neck that he was dragging with him. He was
an escapee.
He was way overgrown. You know, he couldn't even see his eyes.
What kind is it?
We think he's a Lhasa Apso, like
wow.
almost like a Shih Tzu. He is a very. I'll show y'all after, but he is a very, very good dog for the most part. He's kind of spoiled now. He sleeps in the bed with me at night. And,
what's his name?
Scout.
So we just want to take a moment, as we do every episode, and thank the sponsors that we have for the show. The reason that we're here and that we can deliver this show every week.
Okay.
I want to thank BJ. I want to thank BJ because he does provide feedback that we utilize, and it makes the show better every single week.
Yes.
This is the Honorable
BJ
Murphy.
And only.
Okay.
And I
Hi,
want to
BJ.
thank Brandon for the logo that he did and the work he does with us. Most importantly,
Daniel-san.
I want to thank Danny, who out of the blue, I had mentioned, I don't know, last week or the week before, that I wanted an intro to the show that was more in line with what we were doing. Our original intro is cool, but I made it from a template and had nothing to do with
We've evolved.
We've evolved. So
As hogs will.
As hogs will.
We grew.
So
We.
Danny has created a new intro for us, and I'm super excited. We are going to, I'm going to put out a clip today from last week's episode with the new intro.
He secretly loves us.
He does secretly love us.
Is it secret?
Oh, it's very secret.
Very much a secret.
You want to admit
I
it?
asked him for a hug today when he created the logo, and he allowed me to high five him.
Ooh.
He let me walk him to his car one time and it was raining.
He walked into the trash can.
And I accidentally walked him into the trash can.
If you'd like to be a guest on our show,
We'd love it.
we would love to.
Don't
Haven't you had
do
the
it.
best time?
Don't do it. No,
Stop
I'm
it.
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It was a
Would
good.
you
It was a great
encourage-
time.
would
Great
you-
time.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
It's a great time.
Good answer, buddy.
That was mildly threatening.
That was, I'm sorry. It's the beer. I'm not used to this.
We will see you again next week, same time, same place. It will be just Michelle and I, and then the following week we will have the lovely Tanisha Darden. We look forward to seeing you all
Can't
next week.
wait.
Bye, guys.
Bye.